Namaste, everybody. Our today's topic of the session is some of the interesting points from the Gut Microbiome episode series that we have been watching all this while from the past 10 days. So I hope you all got chance to watch them. They were very interesting and a lot of information. So I thought some of the key points which I felt interesting, I would like to share with you all. Let's begin with the prayer. ॐ परब्रह्म आरम्भं पराशक्तिमध्यमम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तं वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् महर्षि कपिलाचार्यं कृतज्ञो मेदिनीपतिः त्रिपदस्थितसाध्यक्षो महाशृङ्गकृतान्तकृतिम् ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय धन्वन्तरये अमृतकलशहस्ताय सर्व आमयविनाशनाय त्रैलोक्यनाथाय श्रीमहाविष्णवे नमः. So all the information I'm providing here is just for the information purpose, and it's not any kind of medical advice or consultation. It's all based on the talks that were given by the health experts. They were all family physicians, gastroenterologists, and nutritionists, research scientists, microbiologists. So it's kind of little more scientific. I have tried to broken down things to make it more easy to understand, a little more with pictures and scientific papers. I'll try to explain it in a simple manner. So there were many topics related to the microbiome solution, how autoimmune diseases manifest, various gut health issues like constipation, IBS, acid reflux, vagus nerve connection with the brain, then gas, bloating, how to detoxify our gut, how to strengthen immunity, and how to consume a diet which will make us sustain a long life, how the sleep patterns affect us, and how the skin microbiome is connected to the gut microbiome, all those things. So I have just taken the points which we can actually practically implement in our life, and very simple things. So basically we'll go from the introduction, little bit of introduction. So microbiome is totality of microbes that live in and around us. So that's the complete microorganisms present within us and around us. And there are many different kinds of them: bacteria, viruses, fungi, archaea. And when they are present within our gut, those microorganisms are called, the collection, the community of them are called gut microbiome. And everybody's gut microbiome is different and unique. Even the twins will have completely different microorganisms and the gut microbiome. And we carry the large intestine hosts maximum number of gut bacteria, and around 40 million of them are present within our large intestine alone. And there are trillions of them within our body. And the ratio of the microbial cells and human cells are like 10:1 ratio. Like 10 times are the microorganisms, while our human cells are just one part. So we always think that microorganisms are bad, but it's not so. Not all microbes are bad, but there are beneficial bacteria which plays a major role in functioning of our body. So when these organisms are present in our mouth area, it's called oral microbiome. When they are present on our skin, it is skin microbiome. When they are present in our urinogenital area, it is urogenital microbiome. When in the digestive tract, it is gut microbiome or digestive tract microbiome. So they are actually present throughout our body, and the names are accordingly given. So the functions they play are, they produce hormones, regulate the neurotransmission, then short chain fatty acids are produced. They maintain the barrier of our gut, that is, they build intestinal barrier, bile acid metabolism, that is fat metabolism, they break down fats, production of vitamins, modulation of our immune system. So basically everything is controlled by these little organisms. In those sessions, they spoke about blue zones, where people of those regions where they live, they were living more than 100 years, and they were not consuming any kind of ultra processed foods, and the kids were born from vagina, they were fed breast milk, and they consumed whole and real foods, the actual natural foods, and they were active throughout their life. Their brain, muscles, every part of their body was functioning. Until they died, they lived happily and healthily. So it's not like they were living for long but with complete diseases. No, they were healthy till they died. And they have their microbiome with large diversity. Different microorganisms were present within them. And it's the environment that matters the most than the genetics. We think that, like, my parents had diabetes, so I'll also have the diabetes. So it's not like that. The epigenetics, it's about the genetics. So whatever the lifestyle we live in, the environment we live in, all those play a major role in maintaining the microbiome. So they mostly consume plant-based diets with lot of fiber. Around they were taking 150 grams fiber per day, while an average American takes just 8 grams of fiber. So they also mentioned that having good relationships is very important to maintain healthy microbiome. So these tribal people living in blue zones, they maintain good support from their tribes. So they asked us also to make sure like we stay in like-minded people, have a supporting community around us, then make sure our relationships are happy, relax every day after work, taking a relaxed shower. It can be like listening to music, all those relaxation things we should do. Then we should download the stress, talk it out, don't sleep with it. If we have any conflicts with our family members or friends, just finish it them, uh, pacify them, and then go to bed in a peaceful manner. And they said that the major problematic foods that we consume are red meat, white meat, that is chicken, dairy products, because they are all filled with hormones and antibiotics, as we all know. Then saturated fats, that is again the animal feed, like the animals are fed with unwanted fats, which build up the omega-6 fatty acids. And also these fats store all the pesticides. So the pesticides are all fat soluble. So they are all stored in those fats, and when we consume, they impact us, our hormones. And also the refined carbohydrates like white sugar, processed foods, artificial sweeteners like aspartame, they deteriorate into formaldehyde. We know how devastating is that formaldehyde. And Splenda, sucralose are chlorinated sugars. So it's that dangerous substances that we consume. Even the research shows that the non-nutritive sweeteners affect human microbiome and alter glycemic responses. Sugar disrupts microbiome, eliminates protection against obesity and diabetes. So various other causes that we see that disrupt our microbiome are the processed foods, inorganic foods, non-vegetarian foods, dairy as mentioned above, then antibiotics, birth control pills, and other non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs we consume, inorganic foods filled with fertilizers, pesticides, and forever chemicals that we use daily in our cleaning products, cosmetic products. And stress plays a major part because it adversely affects the good bacteria within us, where pathogenic microbes proliferate and cause inflammation. And they send the neurotransmitters to feed more sugar. So when these pathogenic bacteria grow within us, they feed on sugars. They crave for sugars, and that's the reason we also end up having more craving for sugar during stress. because that gives a temporary dopamine effect. We feel happy, but the cycle continues and it screws up our whole metabolism. So these gut microbes change very quickly. If we eat certain type of food, those kind of bacteria will be built within our system. Those bacteria that feed on them start building within our system. That's what happens. So it was mentioned that even within one day, our microbiome can be changed. But we need to maintain that diet, whatever we changed that day. If we maintain it, it is like it can change the same day. It is that simple. So because of our poor diet and lifestyle changes that happen, different types of pathogenic bacteria start flourishing within our system. And they mentioned specifically that particular bacteria like Klebsiella pneumoniae affects and causes ankylosing spondylitis, promotes weight gain, and Proteus species of bacteria causes rheumatoid arthritis. And they said that Firmicutes and Bacteroidetes, they are the two phyla of microbes. So when their ratio is imbalanced, there is manifestation of diseases. Like people with overweight, cardiovascular health problem generally have lower Bacteroidetes to Firmicutes ratio. So shifting this plant-based diet, shifting to the plant-based diet helps in maintaining this ratio. Even the research shows, and the ratio has to be not too high or too low also. If it goes like the increased or decreased ratio of these organisms is regarded as dysbiosis, whereby the former is usually observed with obesity and the later will lead to inflammatory bowel condition disease. So what happens is these pathogenic bacteria, when they flourish, they release some metabolites during the process, and they release harmful substances like hydrogen sulfide gas, ammonia, and secondary bile salts, which create environment conducive for chronic inflammation. And that leads to leaky gut, from where all the toxins enter into our bloodstream, and they make the path towards the brain and disrupt the whole mechanism of signaling, the message neurotransmission. Everything gets disturbed, and that leads to all kinds of diseases: diabetes, obesity, colon cancer, Alzheimer's, everything you name. So microbial population shifts towards microbes that are capable of digesting them. So whatever is the food we digest and we put into our system, those population will flourish in the system. So similarly, they mentioned about the good bacteria as well, which causes like the eubiosis. There is good balance of beneficial bacteria, and they are Akkermansia mucinifila. They live in the mucosa of our digestive tract. So our digestive tract has this mucosal layer, right? So it regenerates, this particular bacteria helps to regenerate this mucosa layer regularly, and it primarily relies on prebiotics and polyphenol rich food. That is mostly the colorful foods, all the natural fruits and vegetables. And when we have high levels of this bacteria, we will have low or less number of diseases. So these bacteria feed on polyphenols, especially they mentioned about the red dragon fruit. So this is a picture I took of this particular fruit. So it gives gut healing properties, controls inflammation, and controls metabolic health like diabetes and obesity. And bifidobacterium is other good bacteria, where it converts the food into short chain fatty acids. They are the receptors all around, like in the intestinal lining, there are receptors for these short chain fatty acids that are produced by these bacteria, good bacteria. And so when they bind to these receptors, that release the hormone leptin, which helps to control our hunger. It brings satisfaction to our, when we consume food, it feels that satisfaction and satiety. Okay, now we can stop food. So that satisfaction is brought by these bacteria. So consumption of green tea, dark cocoa increases bifidobacteria and lactobacillus and reduces harmful bacteria. And these good bacteria feed on polyphenols, as we saw. So polyphenols are highly rich in antioxidants. They are the antioxidants rich in fibers, colorful substances like anthocyanins are present within them. They are prebiotics, which are the food for these beneficial bacteria. So the metabolites produced by them when they consume, these bacteria when they consume, they modulate our genes. The expression is changed and the cell functioning is also modulated. That means it can get better. Our cell functioning will get better. And foods grown naturally will have high polyphenols. The plants produce them to protect themselves from oxidative damage. So actually these polyphenols are produced by the plants to protect themselves. So protect from pathogens, extreme climatic conditions. So those compounds will also help us to protect ourselves. That's the reason how they affect and help us. So they are usually these fibers not broken down in our stomach or intestine, small intestine, but they directly reach the colon undigested. There the bacteria digest them and produce these short chain fatty acids, which are very helpful and they do major role. So consuming rainbow diet, that is colorful, having food with colors will bring these polyphenols to us, like green tea, blueberries, pomegranates, cherries, cranberries, dark chocolate, red wine, grapes, beets, and many more will be therein. So what are these short chain fatty acids? These are the fatty acids produced from fibers, prebiotics, and resistant starches that are broken down in our large intestine by these microbes. So these form fuel for colonocytes, that is the cells of our large intestine, the colon, are fed by these short chain fatty acids. And so these are three of the short chain fatty acids, which are butyrate, acetate, propionate. And butyrate is having major significance and it is most stressed. So it is produced by Firmicutes species and they help in signaling this leptin hormone, which brings us that satiety when we consume any food. So they can regenerate nerves in the brain. They are anti-inflammatory. They cause this insulin sensitivity, heals damaged blood-brain barrier, and the energy metabolism in our body is maintained by them. So acetate is produced by Bacteroidetes and they help in host energy metabolism and skin health. Propionate is other short chain fatty acid produced by Bacteroidetes. They help in cholesterol reducing effect and anti-inflammatory and anti-cancerous effect. So these are very important. So it has been observed in research that people who consume Mediterranean diet, which is healthy fruits, vegetables, polyphenol-rich diet, rich in omega-3 fatty acids, dietary fibers, the healthy bacteria flourish. And they release this short-chain fatty acids that we just saw. And that causes the eubiosis. There is good environment within our gut. And the gut lining, the barrier is all well developed because the short-chain fatty acids are the food for these gut lining, right? The colonocytes are fed with these short chain fatty acids. And so lot of antioxidants, enzymes, neurotropic factors, these are all released. Hormones like dopamine, which brings us happiness, and anti-inflammatory cytokines are released and we have healthy brain. While if we consume Western diet filled with toxic factors, our immune system regrades, alpha synuclein, all the unwanted, the dietary fibers are low, harmful bacteria are developed, and it is highly rich in saturated fatty acids. So the short chain fatty acids are not produced in this chain. There is dysbiosis of our microbiome, and so the gut barrier is leaky now. It is dysfunctional, and so all the unwanted chemicals are produced, reactive oxygen species. So oxidative damage happens and pro-inflammatory cytokines are produced. So which is a harmful picture this side. And so the diseases like Parkinson's, all the brain related issues are caused. So they also spoke much about resistant starches in those episodes. So resistant starches are not fiber, but they are starch, but they are not broken down in our stomach and intestines. So these also pass all the way to the colon where the microorganisms feed on them. So foods like rice, they mentioned specifically rice, okay? So rice is very important because nowadays we are turning into millets, but we must not like completely avoid any rice. So rice, red and purple cold potatoes, oats, raw bananas, artichokes, beans which are resistant to enzymatic degradation but digestible by our microbiome in the colon, and they produce these short chain fatty acids. And specifically there was mention about beans because these bring satiety, like we feel that fullness, right, when we consume. They are rich in fiber, they help to pass stool easily. Calories absorb slowly in the bloodstream because of the presence of fiber. They help in weight loss, have minerals like manganese, magnesium, zinc, B vitamins, excellent fibers which bring motility in stool, helps to control glycemic index and are anti-inflammatory. But they produce gas when we consume, so better to follow proper process of consuming them. We need to soak them overnight, rinse and remove all that water, then pressure cook to soft texture and then season with herbs and spices. So this makes the nutrients bioavailable for us, easy to digest, and unwanted gas and all is not formed. So fibers are very important. As we all know, we think it is just a roughage and good to pass stool and all, but they have more role to play. So what is important thing is we can't digest these fibers. So these fibers again go to the large intestine, colon, where all these bacteria present in the large intestine break them down and produce short chain fatty acids like butyrate, acetate, propionate that we saw earlier. So soluble fibers are they attract water and form like gel, like oats, chia seeds, flax seeds, avocado, sweet potato, while insoluble fibers are wheat bran, fruits, vegetables with skin. So we need to, they mentioned that plan meals having at least 5 different plant foods each day. And per week they mentioned like to have 30 of different plant varieties. So when we disrupt our system, the initial signs would be bloating, indigestion, constipation, acid reflux, abdominal pain, cramping, untimely urge to pass stool. These are the beginning symptoms that we experience. But the same symptoms gradually lead, if we continue to disrupt our microbiome, then they lead to chronic inflammation and bring all the serious issues, skin issues, low mood, fatigue, leading to then gradually IBS, ulcerative colitis, rheumatoid arthritis, all the autoimmune diseases manifest, even up to cancer. They also spoke about a new concept called secondary meal effect. That is, when we consume certain fibers like the resistant starch like beans, mushrooms, onions, the fibers in these foods feed not just the bacteria, good bacteria, we also get benefit from them to control our glycemic index. Like suppose if we eat mango or some other foods tomorrow, the foods that we had yesterday will help to control the glycemic index the next day also. So it is amazing to know even the foods that we had earlier will bring the effect later. So it's like the secondary meal effect. And also interesting point was if we cook and cool the potatoes and then consume, the resistant starch in it increases. And so immediately the sugar levels won't rise, it seems. And so how we can improve our diversity in our microbiome. So basically having diversified microbiome is the best solution to have good, healthy gut bacteria and microbiome. So how can we improve? Is having by diversified foods, having rainbow diet, whole foods, fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts, seeds. Then focus on foods that we enjoy and which we would eat regularly. Because if we just eat whatever foods we don't like some, if somebody doesn't like bitter gourd or some other food, and if we want to consume because it is healthy, it is not going to benefit us. And we cannot sustain in those food patterns or diet patterns styles with such unliking diet and feelings towards that food. So the food we consume should be very much liked by us because we can sustain with that and we enjoy it, and so that those hormones, those acids will be released from our intestines to digest them well. Then increase of short chain fatty acids, like the increasing the foods like having resistant starches and fibers should be consumed, like sweet potatoes, roots, tubers, having oligosaccharides. Then also we need to improve the microbiome by spending time in nature, like hiking, going to the beaches, where we can get natural diversified microorganisms. Also having pets is also another way to improve the microbes. Then fasting, they mentioned, can help in increasing the good bacteria like Akkermansia that we just saw, right? It's a beneficial bacteria. And also it helps in diversity, bringing diversity in our microbiome. So this also helps in detoxification and digesting the undigested food material, which was which is lagging in our intestines from so many days or months. All the waste can be flushed out, detoxified when we do fasting. And also they mentioned that once in a while just make space and have foods that you crave too. Like if we like some junk items, sometimes once in a while, like 15 to 20% room should be for planned so that you don't crave for those things more and more. So once in a while, just have those junks too and enjoy, live happily. So that's their concept. So what we feed our microbiome dictates what our ecosystem looks like, right? And we can actually change our microbiome even in one day if we stick to that diet permanently. That is the underlying thing. We should stick to that diet because it can change to even adverse condition even in one day. If we consume all the bad stuff, it can change in one day to bad microbiome. And we in Uni5 recommend always all the 5 elements, right? That is earth element, where we consume all the good foods, whole foods, rich in fibers, herbs, all those things, rich in polyphenols, fermented foods, avoiding processed foods. Then we need to cleanse our system, that is water element. We need to have stress-free life, have good relationships with friends and family members. In the fire element comes oil massages, doing exercise, exposure to sun, vitamin D, and avoiding all chemical exposures. Then breathing exercises and taking time and spending and relaxing for ourselves. Then fasting, that is space element, is fasting, sufficient sleep, listening to music, meditation, and also helping others, like doing some charity works. That brings that space element where we accommodate everybody, have some unconditional love. That brings a nice satisfaction, happiness, a purpose to our life, right? So that space element is also very important. So all the 5 elements, when we provide to this body, which is made up of again all the 5 elements, we will definitely enjoy vibrant health. Thank you all. If you have any questions, please ask. I hope it was not too technical and scientific. I hope you understood.
Yeah, it's a very good session, Neil. A lot of information.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you for summarizing all this.
Thank you, Anaya.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, they spoke much about even the microbiome testing, the stool testing, because of which we will come to know the condition of our gut microbiome, which organisms are present, which are doing the harm to us and those things.
With all the experiments we have done,
Mhm.
myself as well as Nilima, we've realized that if we include mostly natural diet, mostly seasonal fruits and vegetables, and don't process them too much,
Right.
and consume them when they are fresh, and between meals, wait long enough so they're hungry for the next meal.
Mm.
So if we maintain these very simple rules, our diet will change our microbiome on its own.
Yes.
And once that microbiome is changed, then we feel wonderful from within.
Right, sir.
We feel at ease. That's what happens.
Definitely, Anaya. But problem is we don't stick to that diet. That is a thing which we all need to work on.
Yeah, see, that is because the importance of the discipline has not seeped directly, deeply into our system.
Right.
If we understand the value, see, whichever thing we give value to, we
Yes.
do those things, do we not?
Yes.
We value money, so we'll try to earn money in whatever way we can, right? People earn money from above the table, below the table, behind the table, all
Yes.
kinds of things.
And actually
So,
that awareness, yes. That awareness comes when we experience some health problem. When we get that issue, health issue, then we start turning which food is good, what should I do, and all those things comes. So till we experience that suffering, we cannot be into the healthy patterns. That's the nature of our mind, basically.
right. So the really wise one is the one who can learn from other people's mistakes.
Right.
So you've
Yes.
given us all this information. So if we understand this and implement it, it will be great.
Yes.
Why wait until we become sick ourselves and then learn it?
Right. Hope we all get that awareness to not suffer and correct ourselves before we enter into that suffering and not get into that cycle of
Absolutely. So
suffering.
thank you so much for sharing all this with us. Beautiful presentation.
Thank
Enjoyed
you,
it very
Anaya.
much.
Thanks for joining. Thank you so much. Thanks to all of you for joining. And if anybody is
Thank you.
interested to get the microbiome tested in Chennai, there is this our lab, Amma Genomics, where we test all different kinds of tests are done. Our gut microbiome, then antioxidant tests, the melanaldehyde test, which tests about how much of the harmful fats we consume and how much our cells are getting stressed out of them. And also we test for food adulterations, the polyphenols present in the foods. So everything is done there. So you can get it tested there if you're interested.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're most welcome. We'll just chant a prayer for wishing for the welfare of all and end the session. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ॐ. Thank you all very much for joining and patient listening.